Well, hey kids, how you guys doing out there in YouTube land, huh? Probably wondering what I'm doing, aren't you? I'm pounding sauerkraut. Got my kraut pounder, and I am pounding sauerkraut. I have 2 heads of cabbage, green cabbage. Got them all cut up into little tiny pieces. They measured out to a total of 5 pounds. So 2% of that in salt gives me about 1.6 ounces of salt. And so I am adding the cabbage 1 head at a time. That's put 1 head down. Get about another half in here. And stir that around. Add some salt. Hard to give you a good camera angle on this. And never mind. I was going to say something, but I'm going to try to clean up my YouTube channel. Pound it away. I don't know if I can adjust this camera so you can see any more of what I'm doing here, but there you go. Except I'm running out of table here. Just pounding away. This is how you make sauerkraut. You take the cabbage and you blister it like this, you bruise it with the salt in there, and what that does is that salt will start to release all the juice. And my pounder is at a specific design. You notice how it's wider at both ends. They're both about the same, but this one's a little bit bigger than that one, although not much. I like using the smaller one because the same amount of pressure down on a smaller diameter area will give me more pounds pressure per hit. It'll do more damage, but do more damage to a smaller area. And of course, everything here on my desk is falling. My wallet just fell. My hairbrushes are coming down. Timber. Anyhow, so that's what I'm doing. I'm pounding out sauerkraut. Now, I'm also watching the Bengals Browns game on the TV while I'm watching. Bengals seem to be doing fairly well. Oh, always interesting to see Ohio play Ohio. I know my Buckeyes, my Ohio State Buckeyes didn't fare too well this year. So now after I get done pounding all this, and this is about an hour's worth of pounding all together. It's going to take about an hour. There I added the rest of the cabbage. Now I'm going to add the rest of the salt. Sprinkle that around in there so it gets all over. All right. And actually, I think I'm just a little light on the salt. So I'm just going to add a little extra. I'm using kosher salt. Get a little more pour. There we go. A little bit more pour. You're supposed to use between 2 and 3 ounces, or 2 and 3% of the weight of the cabbage. So I have a total of 80 ounces of sauerkraut, and 2% of that was 1.6 ounces of salt, but 3% of that obviously would be a lot more, you know, over 2 ounces of salt. So I figured I want to keep it a little light on the salt, but I wanted to get a good amount on here so we get a good bruise and Now this will go from here into my sauerkraut crock that I have. I know, sounds like a bunch of crock, but it is. It's a brown sauerkraut crock that I have. And it'll sit in there. You put the sauerkraut in. I don't know if you can see it. I probably can't see it yet, but at the bottom of all of this, there'll be liquid forming. And yeah, we're getting some moisture at the bottom. And so as we get that moisture down there, what'll happen is I pack all this down into the crock, then it will get enough moisture out of it to actually cover it with liquid, maybe. And then whatever it's short, I'll just add fresh tap water on top of it. And that will get it where it needs to be. I then have a couple ceramic weights that go on top so that I keep the actual cabbage underneath the liquid level, so it stays in the sauerkraut juice and water mixture. And then it goes like that for a couple weeks. Just let it percolate. My particular sauerkraut crock has a water seal lip at the top. So you put the sauerkraut in, you give it another thorough pounding while it's in there. You set the weights on it to get it down to the bottom. You make sure the water is covering everything up nicely. You put the lid on, and then after you put the lid on, it's got like this little reservoir all around the lip. You fill that with water, and then that gives you a water seal. It creates a seal. What that does is, as the sauerkraut is fermenting, the liquid will come up through the top. It'll bubble out through the water, but it won't let any bad bacteria or anything like that get in there. And then here with this cabbage, we have the cabbage isolated in the crock in a high salt environment. So that allows it to ferment, but there's too much salt in there for any kind of bad bacteria to get in there. And then after a couple of weeks, then we can go to canning it. I like to just put it in some ball jars and put the lids on, but not too tight because you want it to be able to percolate. And then you can simply just store it in the fridge or eat it. As a younger man, I did a roofing job on a barn for my parents. I must have been 20, 22, 23, maybe at the time, maybe younger than that, I don't remember. And while doing that, I discovered that I have carpal tunnel. Newly found. It irritated my wrist enough, pounding all the nails, putting down the roofing, that I got what's known as carpal tunnel. Now, carpal tunnel means that the muscles in my wrists swelled up and pinched a nerve in there, and it was very, very painful. This will equally irritate my wrist. So I'm anticipating not having much use of my hand for a while. I try to switch back and forth, give my right hand a bit of a rest, but I'm a lot stronger with my right than I am with my left, so I do more pound damage with my right hand than I do with my left hand. But anyhow, that's kind of what we're doing. It's just, you can see there, we're just kind of pounding it out flat in the bottom of the pot, getting it good and wet. You can see now it's starting to draw moisture. The cabbage is beginning to look damp in there, which is what we want. And I'm going to go ahead and stir this just to turn it over, make sure I'm bruising all the cabbage and not just the stuff up on top. Well, I tell you, once you get it pounded in there, it doesn't want to stir. It's like, hey, I'm happy right where I'm at. Now, I'm not getting a puddle down the bottom yet, but I am seeing that all of the cabbage is now moist. So our little bit of salt has, in fact, brought up some moisture as we continue to beat up our sauerkraut here, our cabbage. You know, you could do this with any kind of cabbage too. It doesn't have to be green cabbage. You could do it with purple cabbage. You could do it with Brussels sprouts because they're just a type of cabbage. There's a lot of different vegetables you could do this to. Cabbage is the most common one for typical sauerkraut. And of course, then there's, you know, ultimate things you could do with sauerkraut to add all kinds of flavor profiles. You know, you could add different seeds and stuff to it to give it a different flavor. You could add different seasonings and spices if you liked. There's just a lot you can do. Adding different vegetables, of course, you'd be making different ferments. Right now, this is bringing up what's known as a lactobacillus type of a ferment. And that's really good for your gut health. Not only it helps you digest everything else in your stomach, and it keeps you quite healthy. Okay, here we go. No rest for the wicked, right? Anyhow, while I'm pounding this out, I wanted to touch base with you guys. I've got some more content that's going to be coming here in the near future, and I'm not going to apologize for the fact that I haven't put any out. I didn't put any content out recently because, for the most part, I've been under the weather. I got a relapse of COVID that damn near killed me, but muddled through, had trouble breathing, still have trouble breathing. Although, it's kind of weird. When I first got COVID, which happened at the very beginning, so what's that been, almost 2 years ago, I had trouble breathing then, and since then I've had trouble breathing as a result of the COVID. But now I find that I'm recovering from the COVID now, that my lung capacity seems to be improved back to where it, maybe not where it was, but I don't get winded as easy now as I was. I mean, I was getting winded really easy for, you know, a year and a half, almost 2 years, and then I caught it again, and now I'm, oh, don't get me wrong, I go for a big long walk or something, I'm going to get winded, but it was weird. I would get winded sometimes just walking into the bathroom and taking a leak, and by the time I got back here, I was all winded and had to catch my breath. I mean, it was crazy, right? So, anyhow, we got some more content covered. I'm going to do another video here pretty soon, be cleaning out Little Bunny Poo Poo. I renamed the rabbit. It was Little Bunny Foo Foo, but now it's Little Bunny Poo Poo. This rabbit makes more damn crap than any rabbit I've ever seen. But that's fine. That's what I got the rabbit for. That's the only reason I got the rabbit. I wanted rabbit poop so I could add it to my compost and you know, make good soil. So I think I'm going to call that good. Beginning to look a little bit like sauerkraut. What do you guys think? Does that look like sauerkraut starting down in there? It looks like it's getting bruised now. It darkens. When it starts getting bruised, it darkens. And not so much of the white stuff, but got to keep going around the edge, knocking stuff down so I can get a good poundage on it. But I think I'm going to call that good. Anyhow, so this is how we make sauerkraut. This is going to go in the crock. 2 weeks in the crock, comes out of that, goes into canning jars. I might make some content of that while I'm doing it, but I've got a few projects around the house here. Time frame, though, we've got some interesting things going on. I have some real estate transactions in the works right now that should be completed here in about the next 90 days or so, 90 to 120, at which point I'm going to start home shopping. I'm going to start looking to buy some property. And here's the reason why. Yes, I am safe and secure and happy here where I'm at. Very good place to be. But I'm unable to do a lot of the things I want to do content-wise for you guys on YouTube at this location due to regulatory problems with being in town as opposed to out in the country. So we're going to start home shopping, and I'll make content of that and show you how I go about doing it, considering I am a realtor. How does a realtor buy a house? You know, what secrets do we have that enables us to get a better deal? And you'll probably find out that we really don't have much in the way of secrets to get a better deal. In some ways, we get a worse deal because, you know, we need to make sure we disclose everything, that we are a realtor. And as soon as you say you're a realtor wanting to buy someone's house, all of a sudden they think they're going to get a ton of more money because of it. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, we're going to do some home shopping and try to buy some property. Not a lot. Small little tract of land that I can have my critters on and do what I want to do. I'm looking for 2 to 5 acres, something like that right now, with a smaller home on it. Nothing big or fancy, just something to get going to. And then we're going to start redirecting and getting a lot of the more content out that I want to see. But you guys will see that when it happens. But anyhow, kids, just pounding some sauerkraut here. Thought I'd jump in and say hello. Remind everybody we are alive and well here in Ohio. And there will be more content coming soon. I'm just not going to tell exactly when. It'll come when it comes. So with that said, be good, be careful, take good care of one another, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.